everyone, and welcome back to Color the Magic and my frequency writer messages for March 2026. My name is Marie Mohler, and I'm an author, an intuitive, and a creative spirit, as well as a messenger of living a rich, inspired, authentic, and abundant life as a divine creative hero and heroine in ascension times. There is a robustness to the frequencies right now on the planet. We are in the midpoint of this massive and epic ascension decade, and here we are in March 2026, and there's a lot of energy that we're navigating. I'm sure you're feeling it personally. We're also feeling it collectively. So I'm going to take a deeper dive with you now into those themes for March 2026, and also the big picture of you and some other things that I prepared for you today. So here we are in March 2026, and I'm really feeling the energy of the elements accompanying us in our ascension journeys right now. More than many other months that I can recall, I'm very tapped into the energies of fire and earth and air and water and metals as well. But let's first spotlight that energy of the fire horse fire. There's a fiery light. There's this quantum momentum. There's this energy of boldness and taking action and strength and following through on our dreams that we've been planting seeds about and for a long time. For many of us, we've been planting those seeds for a very long time. But Firehorse is coming in this year with this taking bold action, right? This isn't a time to sit back on the balls of our feet. This is the time to be forward looking. This is the time to be galloping forward, as the fire horse would likely say, right? To use this year of momentum to build your dreams and move forward. There's this feeling of this forward movement, pulling the future into our present, pulling time into one time, right? And Firehorse is not going to waste that opportunity. So it's here to embolden us. It's here to empower us. It's here to inspire us to live the gifts of what fire is. Fire is creation, right? It's our second chakra. It's our lower chakras, right? With the root and sacral and solar plexus, kind of like the colors you see on the screen right now, but also adding in some oranges and reds. We're definitely here this year to move our visions forward, to move into our soul path with greater clarity and greater empowerment, and not looking back, not allowing the old stories and the old doubts and the uncertainties and all of those things to make us shrink and, go back into that myopic vision I talked about for so many videos on my Color the Magic channel over the years. It's not time for this myopic vision. It's time for this expansive, clear soul sight. And Firehorse wants to partner with our clear soul sight, wants to partner with an emboldened, empowered heart that's working together with a conscious mind that's implementing those action steps to manifest the life of your dreams, to manifest the soul purpose and presence that you are in a bigger way for this shift of the ages. And so while I'm feeling fire, I've also been feeling calls to stillness, which is fascinating to me. I've been feeling this like pull into action and taking conscious steps and even taking positive risks in an empowered, conscious way to live the life that I'm here to be living, to live the gifts that I came to bring through for myself and for humanity in these times. While I'm feeling that, I'm also feeling this call to stillness, to this feeling of that I'm safe, that I am safe in my breath, that I know who I am when I'm in the stillness and I'm partnered with source in my breathing. And so there's this energy of the breath and air frequencies and also the cooling waters of stillness and flow. And it's more of an inner time with myself. So I'm feeling this boldness feeling of wanting to express and create my gifts and share that in the world. And also at the same time to go into the stillness, which is a very inner time for myself. And so this has been a really, really interesting month for me to prepare for, because part of the time as I was preparing my messages, I was feeling this fire and this energy of moving forward and this energy of momentum and this energy of action. And then I also was feeling this energy of wanting to kind of cocoon in and spend time in the presence of my intuition, spend time in the energies of the frequencies that I know, my gnosis. I wanted to spend time in partnering in the breath and communing with my guides and my higher self and my soul's path and my soul's plan. Those are very different frequencies, like that fire horse that's charging forward, and this energy of kind of cocooning into my creative womb space in those cooling waters and those air frequencies that are found in conscious breathing and stillness, which is another theme for this month in March. And so you'll see this as you see my slides and you hear my messages prepared for this month. And you also listen to the new soul songs that I have prepared for March 2026. I start out with very fiery songs, and then it transitions into a very watery message, one that's very soothing and comforting and safe and secure, and going into that womb space, cocooning in with the mother, basically, right? Into that safe womb space that we all remember, in a kind of our prenatal time, right? And then there's this launching, this flow into bringing our dreams, breathing them into the world, right? Breathing beyond the things that would otherwise keep us small and myopic and conforming and colluding with the illusion, the collusions with the illusions that we've done for so long. Humanity is breaking out of that. Fire Horse has got to have a lot to do with maybe more and more people in humanity awakening this year. And as part of this Ascension Decade, of course, that's par for the course. So here are the themes. There's the fire, earth, air, water, and metals energy. There's the elements coming into the conversation here in March 2026. I also feel more specifically of that action energy and that cocooning energy, which feels like an incredible polarity and this kind of tension between those options for us this month, right? Are we cocooning and are we gonna kind of wombing into ourselves where it's safe and secure and we're accessing our intuition, we're accessing the knowings that we know? It's this deep, soulful reflection time. Or are we boldly like galloping and charging forward with taking conscious action steps to bring forth our dreams? I think both of those frequencies and more are part of March 2026. So if you're feeling some of this inside yourself, it took me all this time to put together this slide to realize I was actually picking up on the energies of March very clearly. I thought 1 minute I'm like talking about fire, and 1 minute I'm talking about cooling waters and flow and air and breathing and stillness, as if they were contradicting each other. And I think they're actually very much part of this month's experience. So we're navigating today's living dichotomies, as I just expressed to you. And then also these themes of release, reflection, frequency, investment, multiplication, basically the parable of the talents that we talked about last month. There's this energy of what you invest increases, right? And what you hold on to can atrophy or shrink. So we want to be investing and amplifying and multiplying our gifts and our talents. And so, of course, also a theme for this month is divine talent expression, authentic talent expression. I'm also going to be bringing in the astrological influences this month with the aid of some other materials and sources, but I'm going to bring in that astrological piece because it's very much a part of the conversation. I'm going to be talking about Eve's inspiration, and that's Eve's always in these messages with me. I feel closest with that divine dream team, and then on the divine dream team of Sophia and Eve, Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene, and Mother Earth, very connected with Eve. So she continues to seed our grand return. And then I have March 2026 new soul songs prepared for you in part 2 of this video. And really this theme of walking between worlds in Ascension times. And as we feel that energy of walking between worlds in the Ascension times, in our times, like right now, right here in March 2026, there's going to be these moments where we feel that nudge or that infusion of fiery energy to create something, to take an action step, to be bold, to do something, to go where we haven't gone before, basically, right? And then there's also going to be these moments when we want to cool down, we want to cocoon in, we want to breathe, we want to be still, we want to go into a hammock within ourselves and rest in the stillness and listen for what our guidance system is saying. I think these are very potent energies that are coming through, not to us or against us in any way. They're actually here for us if we can really identify how we can work with them. And I think when we're breathing between the worlds, when we're walking between the worlds, there's something inside us that knows we're not of this illusory world. And we have to kind of give ourselves permission to walk or fly or flow or breathe between the worlds and not feel too much attachment to the old world that's leaving and dematerializing and the new ones that we are actually forming. We are actually seeding right now. It's a very new garden. It's in its very early stages. We are just beginning to plant and create and manifest the perfect seeds for what we want to be experiencing in this new 9-year cycle, of which this year is a new number 1 year. So you're planting now what we want to be experiencing for the next 9 years in our lives, personally and collectively. So there's a lot going on the planet. There's a lot going on in our personal lives. We're feeling it. But if you're feeling any of this tension between, oh, I'm called to do this. Oh, wait, I'm called to do almost the exact opposite. I'm called to take action and be very external and go out and show the world and share my gifts. And then I also feel this feeling I need to go inside. I need to breathe. I need to cool it down. I need to enter that flowy, feminine, those watery frequencies, right? Go back into the womb space. There's something extraordinary happening here. And if we can just be in a flow state, if we can trust ourselves, if we can trust the feminine that is connected with all time and all space, that we can access anything that we need in the infinite intelligence through all time. We have within ourselves everything that we need. And no wonder we're called to some of that inner time inside ourselves, because we're creating and then we're listening. We're creating and then we're listening. We're listening and then we're going to go forth and create from what we hear and what we know from the inside out, right? And that breathing, that in-breath and out-breath, that outer and the inner communicating as one. There's this weaving of the dichotomies together. That's what we're really learning how to do. We've been learning how to do this for some time, but I feel this is really up front and center in March 2026. So with that said, and with some of these themes in heart and mind, let's take a look at the big picture review. Okay, so for this big picture review, of course, we know in the backdrop, there's this energy of change and transformation, right? We know that that's been going on, ascension change, ascension transcendence, transmutation, transfiguration, all of those things are with us all the time now. But specifically for March 2026, it helped me take a deeper dive into the really core themes and frequencies that this month holds for us. And I just want to say right now at the beginning here in the big picture review, this month is alive with the fire horse's fiery, freedom-seeking momentum. Yet it calls us into a sacred dichotomy, bold new seeds birthing with traction. I think we're getting some traction in our dream seeds, right? We're actually starting to plant those seeds so that they could start to germinate in the soil, in the rich soil that you've prepared, while deep stillness and reflection pull us inward to breathe and center and witness. We're not fragmented. We're being invited to wholeness, right? There's this harmony that is being forged in the fire of integration, but not fragile avoidance. We don't want to be avoiding any of the things that we're going to talk about today. There are no free passes in the ascension times. We are the forgers, the alchemists, and the transcenders. We are the action takers. We are the ones who are taking that action with the help of the fire horse and all this momentum and this creative life force energy that's available to us. And at the same time, we are also the inner listeners. We're going inside ourselves. But regardless of whether it's the fire or the water or the air energies or the earth energies that are speaking through us right now, we can't turn away from all that's dematerializing. We can't turn away from the storms that we see outside of ourselves in the news. Maybe they're inside ourselves. Maybe we're dealing with our own inner storms, right? Something on a personal level. Whatever it is, we can't turn away from things. We don't just get a free pass in the ascension times, but we are the ones that are forging our way forward. We are blazing new trails, basically, right? And we're doing that with all the elements inside us, in our repertoire of soul skills, in our access through our consciousness. And so I'm just feeling this call to be very mindful and heartful of the elements, and specifically fire and water this month, which I think has a lot to do with the astrology. And I'm just beginning to take a deeper look into astrology. I believe there are very Piscean energies this month, and it culminates with energies in Aries, which is the fire sign. So for some of you that know astrology very well, this is something that you would be knowing and looking into, and this wouldn't be new news to you. But for me, I follow frequency, and frequency led me to fire and water. And when I look at the deeper messages in the astrology, it fits perfectly what I've been sensing. So here we are in the March 2026 energies, alive with the fire horse energy, and also that introspective, that reflection time. This living dichotomy, which we can describe as two worlds, two wolves, one soul, right? One 0 point, one entrance to the garden, right? Inside ourselves. Are we feeling this split? Are you feeling the split of this living dichotomy inside yourself and your own experiences? Like, on the one hand, we are summoned to surge in bold action and passionate leaps, right? This fire horse yang fire that's charging ahead. And on the other hand, we have this calming presence in the cooling water of air and breath and soul reflection that is calling to us as well. Where old triggers are rising for their last hurrah, vying for our attention, some of those reflections are looking back, where the fire horse is looking forward, right? This is the path of walking between the worlds, witnessing polarity without attachment, but witnessing that polarity and not turning away from it, right? We're witnessing it, we're knowing about it, we have awareness, and we keep moving forward. We are utilizing sometimes 3D tools for boundaries in the lower 3D matrix, because as that vibrational soup that I've talked about so long, the kind of storms of energies around us, there's a lot that's shaking up on the planet right now within and around us in all kinds of environments. We may need to use some 3D tools to set some boundaries with the lower 3D matrix that basically says, I'm not playing, I'm not participating, whatever that is for you. And also trusting our higher light to guide us toward unity and singularity and oneness, and that, that quantum creative manifestation, that quantum creator that you are. We are each a soul on this path of wholeness and this grand return to the garden. And we're feeding the wolf of light inside us right now through conscious, mindful, and heart-filled integration, but really also allowing space for both wolves to be communicating with us. The shadow aspects coming up for a last hurrah, for to be seen and witnessed by us, whatever those triggers and traits and aspects are. We need to see those, because those are our tethers. That's where we're still engaged in some kind of reactivity instead of a soul responsiveness from a place of conscious action. So we are still doing this dance, as you see the yin and yang symbol that I have on the screen, of the fire and the water trying to come together in singularity, in unity inside ourselves. So all of us, like the wholeness of us, is bridging this dichotomy inside ourselves and bringing us into that oneness, into that wholeness and singularity, where we can make our most potent impact with the energy of the fire horse, and also with the energy of this introspection, this reflectiveness, right? This awareness and access to all of our emotions and our feelings. We want to access our sentience, which I think is also in those water frequencies. Okay, there are themes of release. In early March, there's an eclipse purification. We begin this month with profound release. The total lunar eclipse in Virgo on March 3rd, opposing a Pisces stellium, with Mars entering Pisces on March 2nd, acts as a cosmic gates of transformation, shedding rigid routines, perfectionism, judgments, and lingering shadows of separation and fragmentation, right? That sense of separateness, even from ourselves. It's this call to unity inside ourselves, right? We're going to be feeling that in early March. It's a sacred pause. We don't have to fix things. We just need to simply witness what's completing, what's coming to closure. Old triggers are surfacing, not to derail us, but to be released, clearing space and making room for the new paradigm where themes of separation find their way back into unity and wholeness. We are the alchemists, right? We are the ones alchemizing that. So again, a lot of this astrological information comes from a number of sources that I put this together with. But if this resonates for you, it sounds like the early part of March is going to be very focused on reflection and release and that kind of inner space. So again, we have the themes of release, we have themes of reflection. In the first 3 weeks of March, we're going to be there's a Mercury retrograde fog. We're going to dive deep into reflection under Mercury retrograde in Pisces, water energy, through March 20th. This mysterious veil resurfaces unfinished chapters, old characters and old stories, and deeper soul level questions. It's like this deep soul, deep dive inquiry inside ourselves, urging us to go within, breathe into stillness, find our center, and integrate unseen fragments. In the cooling waters of breath and air, we witness these reflections without augmenting the darkness. Witnessing is observing and not giving any energy to what it is that we're looking at or we're reviewing, right? It's very much a tool of spiritual mastery. And we've all been working towards this in the last number of years, but I think we're refining it further and further and further because we still have opportunities to look at old stories, old characters, old theater, old stuff in our lives that is resurfacing for a final release. Remember the truth that we as Gnostic knowers already know. We hold the light within. This reflective calm tempers the fire horse's blaze, allowing deep peace amidst the intensity. I think that's also what I've been experiencing. You'll feel it in the songs that I share with you that sing this month's themes, right? You're going to feel this fire horse's blaze and this powerful momentum and this boldness. And then there's also this desire to like cocoon in, and I am safe and I am whole and I am loved and I love who I am and I'm connected with my spirit. You know, it feels like a dichotomy, but it's actually whole. It's like the yin yang symbology and that frequency on the planet alive in us is our wholeness. It's not one or the other, and it's not a competition, and it's not division. It's not a war. It's coming into wholeness, right? This toroidal field that pulses all of us all the time. Are we prepared for that moreness? Are we prepared to feel more of all of the gifts that we have in our spiritual repertoire, in our spiritual satchels of our gifts, right? Okay, then there's themes of renewal, this mid-month pivot. Jupiter turns direct and gentle, and there's gentle closure. Renewal blooms as Jupiter stations direct in Cancer on March 10th, ending its retrograde, bringing emotional expansion, luck, and graceful trines that help us live what we've learned. We start to apply and live more of this, all the marrow of what we've been extracting or accessing through this very reflective, right, retrograde time period. So the new moon in Pisces on March 18th offers forgiveness and a softer close to the eclipse season, reconnecting us with former passions, transcending old limitations, and renewing our inner security, right? Our inner sense of security. We are safe, we are whole. Seeds gain traction in this phase, right? The new birthing, and harmony emerges resilient and earned. We are going to go through a lot of layers with ourselves, a lot of experiences, a lot of awareness in the next few weeks. This feels very potentiated and very potent in the month of March. And then we have themes of multiplication, investing our talents. In late March, there's this Aries ignition. So again, towards the end of the month, we multiply and we magnify. We amplify, basically, right? On March 20th, the spring equinox, the sun enters Aries. Mercury stations direct. Clarity snaps in. Forward momentum surges, and the astrological new year ignites with courage, spiced up energy, and bold starts. This is the fire horse galloping, right? We want to invest in what we have. Our talents, our light, and our abundance, our natural innate gifts and resources for a brighter world. We want to feel our gifts. We want to listen to our timeline through our conscious breathing. We want to breathe and listen for our truest timeline. We want to breathe and listen and reflect and connect through our intuition with our truest timeline. And then we want to take purposeful action steps. Do you see how fire and water want to work together? We're listening with that flowing intuition, and then we're accessing that creative life force energy and that prana to pour into action steps, purposeful action steps, bringing our visions and our next steps in living our purpose and living our gifts in this world at this time. We want to magnify the light of abundance. We want to pour higher frequencies into the world that we want to co-create. And we want to be a participant in bringing forth greater harmony, peace, and prosperity for us all. That's a big, big month right there with themes of release, reflection, renewal, and multiplication. So much is going on this month. It's pretty incredible. So in this fire horse year that we're all experiencing, in the month of March 2026, we are here to embrace the dichotomy as a dynamic dance, an ebb and a flow, an in-breath and an out-breath, and not a battle anymore. Those two wolves aren't battling, they're working together. They're showing us the way to the 0 point, right? Remember all those ones that we saw in 2026 for January and October and November? I think in my January video, we covered that. We talked about that. I think we talked about it again in February as well. Feel those wolves holding the pillars so we can see where the gate to the garden is. Thank you. Like we need to give gratitude to those two wolves in the legend of the two wolves. They're not in a spiritual battle with each other. That might have been the original legend earlier in humanity's experience, but now we need a new legend of the two wolves where they are the pillars and the arrow pointers to show us the way, right? That singularity, that path back to the garden, our return. Gratitude to the wolves, gratitude for that story, gratitude for the alchemization of that story into these two wolves showing us the grace and the flow of this dynamic dance of the yin and the yang, right? Unity within diversity, light transmuting shadow. What we witness and alchemize becomes fuel for ascension. What we ignore can expand and distract, right? So we don't get spiritual bypasses. We don't want to just have the free pass and ascension. We want to extract the lessons. We want to consciously release. We want to be in this time of reflection. We want to have empowered reflection, right? And empowered and conscious release. So we can move forward in this conscious renewal and this conscious investment of our talents in the way of the parable of the talents that we talked about in the last month's messages. So if we talk about what we witness and alchemize becomes the fuel for ascension, right? The life force, the soil, if you will, for our ascension and our dreams being made true and growing in the garden. We don't want to ignore, because that will just, whatever those things are, will expand and distract us, right? Or detract us. But when integrated, right? These dichotomies, these things that we're transmuting or releasing, we fly beyond the borders of the 3D matrix that tethers us to this illusory realm. And we can really listen for what's stirring for us in March from this beautiful release and reflection in the beginning of the month. We're going to be taking incredible action steps towards the end of the month with all of the support from the elements with us, flowing with us, creating and manifesting for us and through us. So with all of that said, what is stirring for you this March? Listen for what is emerging. Listen for what is seeking to emerge through you in the stirring of your soul this month. And then also let's continue to discuss these energies today as we walk between the worlds together and we trust this higher light inside us to guide the way. Of course, the light is guiding the way. We are made of light and the light is here for us, knowing the intensity of these times, but also knowing the gifts in the fire horse and knowing the gifts in this time of reflection through the water and air and elemental frequencies as well. So with that said, here's the water frequencies. Let's gather at the river with Dr. Terry Cole Whitaker. And we also have this beautiful picture of these mountains and the earth here. That was very important to Terry, that she wanted to gather with the women at the river, the women who are the knowers, the women who are the nurturers, the mothers of this world, right? There's that feminine frequency, regardless of gender, inside all of us that can tap into those flowing waters where we can access our intuition, where we can access the Gnostic knowing that we hold inside, that we actually are. We are those frequencies. There's nothing lost. There's nothing that we need to go digging to find. We just have to relax and breathe and allow the remembrance. And Dr. Terry was a great teacher of remembering who we are. So the insights that I'm going to share next come from her book, Dare to Be Great, 7 Steps to Spiritual and Material Riches. We are moving through that book. I'm grabbing quotes each month to honor her teachings, her living teachings, and her memory, and the teacher that she timelessly is. So here I have a little bit of a review because we looked at this last month. Because the talents are so prominent in our stories right now, in our soul journeys, I wanted to show 2 or 3 slides of what we looked at last month, talking about the parable of the talents, the biblical parable of the talents, right? That this was Terry's quote from her book, Dare to Be Great. Give of your talents, and your talents and wealth will increase. The one who was given 1 talent hid what he had been given because he was a miser and afraid of losing the little he had been given. One of the principles of life is what you don't use, you lose. The law of life is that we must use what we have been given, including our talents, resources, power, and intelligence, in service to the greater good of all, and if we do, we will prosper. Beautiful insights from Dr. Terry in her book. And then I had shared the parable of the talents, actually, and I'm just going to paraphrase this briefly. You can look up that parable of the talents if you want to refresh your memory about it. But basically, a wealthy man is going on a journey, and before he leaves, he entrusts his property to 3 servants, and he gives each of them a certain amount of money, which was called talents in the day. And a talent then was a large unit of currency worth roughly 20 years' wages for a laborer. Think hundreds of thousands of dollars a day today, right? So these talents was a lot of money. And he divides these sums with each of his servants, 3 servants, and he gives them in these amounts. The first servant receives 5 talents, the second servant receives 2 talents, and the third servant receives 1 talent. The wealthy man then departs, and the first 2 servants act quickly. They invest and trade with what they've been given, successfully doubling their amounts. Okay, so the one with 5 talents grows it into 10, and the one with 2 talents grows it into 4. They double the abundance. They double the investment that this wealthy man had given them. The third servant, concerned about risk, buries the single talent in the ground to keep it safe. After a long time, the wealthy man returns and settles accounts. The first servant presents the 10 talents. The wealthy man responds with enthusiasms. Basically, well done. You've been faithful with a few things. I'll put you in charge of more. Come and share in the success. The second servant presents the 4 talents and receives the same warm praise and greater responsibility. Identical reward for faithful effort, no matter the starting amount. The third servant returns with the original 1 talent, explaining that he buried it out of caution. The wealthy man notes that even a simple low-risk step, like depositing it for some kind of interest, would have produced some growth. He then takes the talent and gives it to the one who now has 10, stating the principle, for to everyone who invests and produces more, even more will be given, leading to abundance. But from the one who does nothing with what they've been given, even what they have will be taken away. This may be a story that you're familiar with, and if you aren't, it's a very powerful parable about, when what you're given, if you invest it with enthusiasm and your unique talents, it is meant to amplify, it is meant to multiply. But those who hold tight to their talents, they don't invest them. They're afraid of getting out there and sharing who they are with the world, right? This is the call of the fire horse. It's basically saying, get out there. We're going to gallop this year, whether you do so joyfully or reluctantly, right? We're going. So I invite you to think about this parable of the talents as we discuss some more insights from Dr. Terry and her book, Dare to Be Great, and also as we discuss other themes in March for the month. So I included this slide briefly before we get to some of the new quotes. This was from last month as well, but just as the faithful servants in the parable multiplied their entrusted talents through proactive, discerning action rather than fear or neglect, right? Or smallness, we are called today to steward our resources wisely, whether financial talents, which are investments, savings, or a generous flow, or personal ones, skills, creativity, intuition. Wise use means aligning our choices with higher purpose, investing time and energy into what truly expands our soul's expression, taking calculated risks footed in faith rather than greed, and releasing what no longer serves. All these things are coming up this month. Those releases, reflections, renewals, amplification, and multiplication. Here, we are a living expression of the parable of the talents right now in our lives in March 2026. Will we invest our gifts, our riches, our resources, our God-given abilities, right? Will we invest those and amplify them and multiply them? Or will we tuck them away, lock them away, or suppress them away as if we don't even have them, afraid that we might lose them or afraid of our own true self-expression? So we want to be directing our gifts towards growth and authenticity and a sense of contributing to the greater whole, right? Uplifting the world and making it better by whatever it is that you have to give. We invite abundance, a deeper fulfillment, a deeper sense of purpose and meaning, and the blessings of a soul-aligned life that ripples outward and touches other lives, right? Multiplying not just for ourselves, but for the greater good in this pivotal year of evolution. So we talked about that a little bit more last month, but I wanted to review that briefly because here we are. We're going to be talking about some new quotes from Dr. Terry related to the parable of the talents. She says, whatever we have is enough. For when we invest it by sharing it with others, that which we have increases, and we are given more upon that. Those who hoard the little they have lose what they have and are thrown into lamentation and misery only because of their own unwillingness to give and share of who they are, their talents, and their resources. I would invite you to check out her book. She has 8 books at least, and a blog and her videos on YouTube. You can check out her channel. Terry has a lot of wisdom, and she was living this before the internet. She was knowing this well before many people had woken up to these absolute truths in her own life, and she did her part to share her talent, and she touched millions of lives with the messages she shared. She took these complex cosmic laws and principles, and she made them very simple and easy and accessible to understand. Whatever we have is enough, and when we invest it by sharing it with others, it increases, right? But if we hoard it, it falls away in some way, right? So now is a time to be listening for what are my gifts to share? What are my gifts to invest? What are my resources that I could expand and multiply and touch the world with, right? What is that? We need to be listening for that. That's that reflection time. That's that time in early March. So Dr. Terry says, I was thrilled to find out that the most successful are not always the most talented, gifted, or privileged. This meant that with whatever I had, I could excel and enjoy a wonderful life in all respects. So what if my parents were not rich or powerful, or I had no exceptional talent? I could achieve my topmost goals, and so could anyone if we so desired deeply and strongly enough. I could achieve my topmost goals, and so could anyone if we so desire deeply and strongly enough, right? We all can invest in our talents. Look at this field of sunflowers. You might think they're all the same, but they're not. They all have their own dreams and visions for the life they want to be living, the life that they came into physical form to live, their unique frequency that they add to that sunflower garden that amplifies the light of the sun, right? It makes the light and it amplifies the light and it touches the whole field of energy, this frequency, right? When we give of our gifts and our talents. So we don't want to be in a field of sunflowers thinking we're identical to everyone else. We are unique and distinct and the same. We have a sameness and a distinction that we are here to discover. And it's through our distinction that we uplift the entire field, the frequencies of the planet with the unique gifts that we have. We're listening for that. That's where the reflection, right? That inner time, that going into our inner sanctuary, into our intuition, listening for what our soul is guiding us to breathe into manifestation. Listening for what we are here to express as that brilliant sunflower in the field of receiving the light of the great central sun, informing us of the Christ Sophia codes that we carry inside. But we must invest the gifts that we have. If we sit there and we're afraid to show who we are, and we've had experiences that have told us stay small, to just conform, to just go along with everybody else, to not step out of our boxes, then you don't really get to shine in the field of sunflowers, in God's true creation, right? And then we reflect back on the parable of the talents. It's not just a story. It's a truth about creation. The skills and the muscles and the gifts and the aptitudes that we aren't using atrophy. That's untapped divine sacred potential that could actually amplify more light in the world. We are called to go inside ourselves and listen for what that is. And if you're already listening and you already know what that is, it's time to maybe partner with the Fire Horse at the end of this month and certainly throughout this year, and find ways to gallop in bold action steps to share yourself more robustly, more boldly, with a greater strength, with greater joy, that it can actually be beautiful to share who you are in the world. That's all I've been doing. All these years I've been writing books and I've been making blog posts and I listen for the next thing. And sometimes I was in audio files and then I started making video files and I'm still listening. I know about my musical. I know about the things that I'm going to be doing. There's all kinds of venues I can create in and with and partner with. Same for you. The world is waiting for the unique talents that only you have in that field of beautiful sunflowers, in this field of gorgeous, great central sun energy. You have codes of light and talents and gifts that want to be shared. And so you can achieve your topmost goals, and so can anyone if you so desire it and you deeply and believe it and know it strongly enough, and you apply yourself and you take action, right? This is something Terry was discovering, again, pre-internet. I just find it extraordinary. She was listening to her soul inside. She probably had plenty of time for reflection, and she gave us the expressions of her reflections in gems like this. Okay, Dr. Terry says in this quote, "It never is what we have that is most important, but what we do with what we have." And do you see, of course, this bright sunflower, this beautiful star-seeded flower here, shining its light amidst a field of flowers, right? She's not the exact same as all the other flowers. She has her own unique blueprint. She has her own unique divine expression. And this one is shining bright. So it's not what we have. It's not the riches in your bank account. It's not the balance in your bank account. It's not the resources you have right now. So I love how Terry is sharing with us that it never is what we have that is most important, whether you have the 1 talent, the 2 talents, the 5 talents, or 1,000,000 talents. Some people with 1,000,000 talents might see those atrophy because they're not using them wisely, they're not using them consciously, and they're not using them in the way that the new earth is moving forward. She wants the frequency alignment. Mother Earth desires this frequency alignment with God's creators and creatives to move forward in this new age of abundance and prosperity in the garden, right? So that person with 1,000,000 talents might see those atrophy because they simply aren't doing with them what they have that they could do if they were conscious creators and aligned with source and breathing in co-creation with the source, right? They're also the person with the one talent who might think, well, I don't have a million talents. You don't have to have a million talents. That one person with that one talent might manifest 10 talents or amplify and multiply into having a million talents because they invested the one that they had well and wisely. This is the time of 2026. How are you investing well and wisely with what you have? What's so important is what you do with what you have. And Terry says this so beautifully and so clearly. So clearly. So drink in that image on the screen. That's us. That's you. Amidst all those other sunflowers, you're not trying to compete with the other sunflowers. You're just trying to shine your unique frequency to make the field of frequencies in that sunflower field, drinking in the light of the great central sun, even better. That's our job. That's our purpose here. Our frequency of embodying and expressing our gifts is our work in this realm. It's not to labor for income. It's to express who you are. That is why we're here. Okay, and after Dr. Terry shares that message about it's what we do with what we have is the message, she shares in her book, Dare to Be Great, this story, The Building of the Rama Setu. And I might be pronouncing that incorrectly, but it's a powerful parable in its own right. And I wanted to share it with you because Dr. Terry shares it to wrap up the messages she's sharing about the parable of the talents. So here it is, The Building of the Rama Setu. In the Ramayana, as Lord Rama's army built the massive bridge, Ram Setu, to Lanka, mighty monkey man Hanuman hurled huge boulders into the sea. A tiny spider joined in, pushing mere grains of sand with its legs. Hanuman noticed and dismissed it as pointless. But Rama gently corrected him. This spider offers what it can with full devotion, just as you do with your strength. Both please me equally, for I value the heart's sincerity, not the size of the gift. And so Dr. Terry, in her book, Dare to Be Great, adds this summation of that story. It is not the size of the person or the greatness of his talent that matters. What pleases me is when he gives whatever he has into service with love and enthusiasm. I love that. It's a great story. It's what you do with what you have is what matters, not how much you have, right? Or what you were born into, that you were given, but what you do as you with what you have. And the spider gives of itself with devotion of what it has. There's this energy of devotion, this committedness, this devoting your energy and your gifts and talents to the gift, to the whole, to the planet, to the collective, to the creation, right? That is what is valued. That is what is prized. And when I saw that about enthusiasm, it made me think about what Dr. Terry shared in her book, Dare to Be Great, but also our many podcasts together, this energy of enthusiasm. And she defined prosperity. She defined prosperity as moving forward with enthusiasm. And when we couple that awareness, prosperity means moving forward with enthusiasm. And you weave in the insights from the parable of the talents. There's something extraordinary when we invest what we have to give, when we invest our one talent, our two talents, whatever amount of talents that we have, our aptitudes, our gifts, our enthusiasm is a talent to be invested, right? Our curiosity about spiritual principles and seeking a deeper connection with ourselves and Source and Sophia and Eve and all the divine mentors that know about our ascension journeys right now, right? To access and amplify and augment and invest those frequencies of joy and enthusiasm. These are intangible talents, but they are talents nonetheless. They are very important. So our prosperity, according to Dr. Terry, and I can feel it, means moving forward and amplifying our gifts and our joy through our enthusiasm, through our engagement, through the investment of what we have. Such a powerful message, There's so many beautiful nuggets and pearls of wisdom from Dr. Terry in her book, Dare to Be Great. I invite you to check that out if you feel so called. And now, with that said, and those reviews, just marinate in some of those frequencies of what we've been talking about, the parable of the talents and the energy of the fire horse and the energy of this time of reflection and the water energies. Now we're going to take a look at March 2026's release, renewal, and multiplication themes astrologically. And again, I've cobbled this together from a number of sources and then had AI help me put it together in this slide for you. I'm not a master astrologer by any means. I'm just starting to peek into it. But we're talking about these themes of releasing and renewing and investing our talents with faith, like the parable of the talents. March calls us to uncover, to multiply, and to boldly use our God-given talents, releasing our fears or blocks that bury them, and trusting divine timing for our growth and full expression, right? The fullness of our self-expression is the pleroma that the Gnostics talk about, right? There's this fullness that we want to experience. Well, March is going to be ushering in these invitations to invest our talents with faith, like the parable of the talents, not hold them tightly. No, expanding our awareness of them, expanding and connecting and reflecting on the gifts we all have inside. What are the talents inside you that are summoning you and want to be invested so that they can multiply and richly bless you and your family and your community and the world, right? And this creation. March is calling us to uncover and then to invest and to multiply and to boldly use our God-given gifts. Okay, so March 3rd, there's a lunar eclipse and a full moon in Virgo showing up as emotional culminations or revelations about self-doubt or perfectionism, perhaps. We will be purging what is dimming our light, like that fearful servant who is burying his talent, right? And keeping things small and tight and dull and dim. In the early March, around this time of March 3rd, we're going to be releasing old patterns to make space, to make room, to free our abilities up for service. March 2nd to 3rd, it sounds like Mars enters Pisces. Energy feels intuitive and compassionate, but still diffuse. I've been feeling a good bit of that as I prepared for this March message here, right? Energy felt very intuitive. I felt very attuned to it, and yet it also felt diffuse at some points, like I couldn't quite see it or feel it or articulate it clearly. It's interesting that it comes in March 2nd to 3rd. Act on your gifts with gentle faith, not force. Multiply through inspired, soul-aligned steps, avoiding inaction from being overwhelmed, right? So these are gentle faith steps. These are gentle investments of our gifts, perhaps, at this time. Just the art and the willingness to invest, just your consciousness, your intuition, right? Aligning yourself with a soul-aligned step, right? It can be done with gentle faith, not force at this stage of the month, at this phase of the month. March 6th, Venus enters Aries. It sparks bold self-worth and relationships. You want to value your talents unapologetically in this window, in this phase, in this month. Invest them in passionate pursuits like the faithful servants trading theirs for increase, right? So in March 2nd to 3rd, as the Mars is entering Pisces, there could be this tendency to want to stay small and be the servant that buries the one talent, holds it tight and holds it closely because he's afraid of losing it. He's afraid of scarcity, right? He's afraid of just being overwhelmed of what to do with it. When Venus enters Aries, there's this energy of tapping into a bold self-worth and valuing your talents unapologetically, right? Be bold in how you value your talents and your gifts. March 10th, Jupiter stations direct in Cancer, relief and expansion in emotional security. Trust divine provision. Your master, that wealthy man, rewards faithful growth. God's source rewards faith-filled growth. Use this to nurture and amplify your inner resources. For a lot of us, what we may be investing right now is our inner talents, those gifts, those aptitudes, those inspirations, that awareness, that vision, those dream seeds, right? Doesn't always have to be a physical coin or, unit of currency. It might be, but it might be those inner resources, right, that you are listening and reflecting on. Source is rewarding your faith-filled growth steps. March 18th to the 19th, new moon in Pisces, potent for spiritual intentions. Plant seeds of devotion. Makes me think of the spider and Hanuman, right? That parable that Dr. Terry shared with us. It was the devotion that the spider moving just a grain of sand while the monkey man, was moving whole boulders. It wasn't the size that mattered. It was the devotion, right? It was the integrity. It was the intention. Surrender our fears. Envision multiplying our gifts through a sense of universal flow, streams of flowing energy inside you. There's that water energy again. And then on March 20th, Mercury turns direct in Pisces and Aries equinox. Clarity emerges, momentum builds. Review and refine. Move from reflection to action. Stepping into the astrological new year, ready to enter the joy of source with your invested talents. That wealthy man in the biblical parable of the talents represents in many ways source energy, right? God helps those who help themselves. That was another message that Dr. Terry shared in Dare to Be Great we reviewed in recent months, right? God wants to multiply your invested talents, wants to amplify and expand and ripple forward your talents, your gifts in wealth and riches and prosperity of both spiritual and material kinds, right? So it's a powerful month. Overall, this month's energies urge release of limitations, intuitive investment, and bold renewal, echoing the parable's call. Don't hide or dim your light. Invest it. Multiply it with courage and trust. Express it, right? To multiply it with courage, faith, and trust. Powerful. Okay. So these are some of the energies we're going to be seeing and feeling and experiencing throughout the month of March 2026. And it's energy that can support you and your dreams. And they might be large dreams and big dreams. And they may also be simple dreams, that your soul wants to experience on a daily basis, that you give yourself 2 opportunities a day to spend 1 to 2 minutes conscious breathing. That's an investment of your spiritual gifts to know the value of conscious breathing in your life. A single conscious breath can change your life. I'm a believer in that. And invest in that conscious breathing and imagine what that may multiply in blessing-filled ways for your life. Okay, so we're going to round out part 1 of these March 2026 messages with Garden Insights number 11. There's a lot of themes of talents and expression and energy and frequencies throughout the month of March in this Garden Insights message. So as you listen, feel a lot of the frequencies and in the messages that we've already discussed today, and feel them coming alive, awake, and aware as you consciously breathe and listen to these Garden Insights for you in your journey in March 2026. Greetings, luminous beings of living light. Welcome to the flow and currents of March 2026's birthing, cleansing, and igniting waters. The earth is rich and alive with so many budding frequencies, all vying for humanity's attention and joyfully anticipating which ones will seed and grow and which will fall away. It is a time of tremendous innovation, multidimensional healing and transformation, and quantum leaping on all levels of the individual and collective consciousness. Whatever your heart's desires, there is spiritual energy and divine light to empower your dreams and bring them to fruition quicker and more effortlessly than ever before. What makes this time of the great return to the garden so potent and full of potential is that each of us holds Akashic records of some huge aspect of the human condition that is in need of healing. And each of us holds Akashic records of extraordinary divinely human potentials that are ready to sprout and launch into the becomingness of Homo luminous in form, in real time, in this now moment in time. Thus, humanity holds the codes of the old 3D paradigm's pain, suffering, lack, and confusion, and it also holds the codes of all that is seeking to emerge in the hearts of spiritual warriors who remember the living garden as clearly as a deep powder blue sky or the perfection of Mother Earth's green grasses. We are the key holders. We are the code bringers, and it is this slice of humanity that I believe reads these messages and remembers something about their own unique soul mission and the unique part of the dream that only they can bring and birth into existence here on the planet today. If you find or feel yourself aware of this unique tension, this relationship between the old world we see and know is leaving, and the new one that is shining with greater and greater clarity and resonance with our soul codes than ever before, you are in a brilliant community of starseeds that collectively has these feelings every day in a world undergoing immense cosmic and quantum change, while at the same time most on the planet are unaware that any of this is even happening. It's just not yet part of their reality, but it is very much a part of yours. Throughout recent months, I have felt the spark of Sophia, Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene, Eve, and Mother Earth. And now again, on the cusp of March, I feel Eve emerging and entering my thoughts and my heart's awareness with increasing frequency. As if to say, breathe and remember. Breathe and know with me the knowings that we know that we know. One of the greatest gifts that courageous awakened souls can give is the gift of being fully present in our knowings. It is a gift to be fully present and aware of our breath, our light, our talents, and our intentions for humanity's great return back to the heart of the living garden. These aren't just words on a page. They are vibrational invitations to see the density all around us and to inwardly breathe, connect, access our faith and the fullness of our intuitive vision, and to take conscious, compassionate action steps every single day towards making the world a better and brighter place for all sentient life on the planet. The bold and fiery power of the fire horse this year invites us to empower, through conscious action, our truest dreams, our deepest visions, our greatest desires. Because within those deep dreams and visions is our most pure and perfect connection with Source. And who doesn't want to feel that? The joy of divine fullness and alignment every day. What a gift! So while many days and times it feels like so many of us are breaking new ground, holding space for those not ready to break new ground or allow the shattering of illusions that is inevitable in these times, or simply soul-weary sometimes at this stage of this epic movie that is playing out in our daily lives right now, we are all called to remember what's real. We are called to remember divine reality beyond the haze, din, and confusion of the false matrix's usurped reality and the illusions that run the old 3D matrix. The latter is the real, R-E-E-L, the movie reel, and it is more important than ever to discern between what's real, R-E-A-L, and what's real, R-E-E-L. There is a tremendous boldness, an unquenchable drive to move in the direction of our purest, clearest, brightest, and most holy and soulfully aligned dreams and visions, and an epic and expansive momentum that seems to know no bounds this year to empower the real us to stand up, authentically live as we truly are, and allow the call of the soul to express the living garden as us in what we are truly called to create, live, breathe, be, and fruitfully manifest. Is there 3D noise? Yes. 3D noise and static are part of our ascension training to know the God within us and to partner with Divine Source and the Great Mother through the distractions and the din. Do we get a free pass if there are karmic thresholds or threshold guardians we are meant to address, neutralize, and transcend beyond in our everyday journeys now too? No, there are no free passes. So will we face our own inner dragons along the way? Sure. Will we face some karmic squeezes or messes that we believed we could simply breathe and rise beyond, but in fact they require special skill sets to actually face them head on and choose very clearly the path of divine soul alignment, cosmic gnosis, and the grace to be the divine soul you are, while at the same time setting boundaries in the real, REAL, such that lower frequencied invitations to the dance of the 3D incarceration or enslavement tango no longer have an impact on your mission or who you are in the Creator's story. There is tension in ascension. It's a guide rail, not a regression. If tension is rising in your life experience right now, feel the fullness of the offering it is gifting to you. We are then summoned to look deep within and discover how is this ascension tension spurring me on to go the distance and transmute the stranglehold on my spirit which that thing, person, idea, doubt, etc. had over me this lifetime or multiple lifetimes. We all still have a monkey or a circus in our repertoire of soul stories right now that would like to jump on our backs and hold us back from our real destination, entering the living garden in our soul essences again. No monkey or circus is that powerful to hold us back unless we give our power to the real of the circus, REEL, or the movie of the circus, versus the truth and light of what is real, REAL, about us and who we truly are. Not everyone has the same challenges. Not everyone has the same tasks to transmute. But the truth is, we all have them. We all have some monkeys on our backs and some circus characters in our lives to transcend. And those monkeys and circus characters could be us or someone close to us. The key to March's madness, if you will, is not to be discouraged or dissuaded from awakening your inner soul light and living the path that is yours to take as you move from the real, REEL, to what is truly real, REAL, in ascension times. Mastering the monkeys and mastering our unique threshold guardians are all part of the divine creative heroes and heroines' epic ascension journey up and through our greatest fears and our biggest entanglers and triggers to reach the point of free and clear conscious breathing, nirvana of heart, mind, body, soul, and spirit, and a radical heart stream of self-love, self-forgiveness, and self-compassion to be here now in the transcendent journeys of epic faith and fortitude we are all walking in this wild time of the shift of the ages on planet Earth. We have a lot to learn from the wisdom of Eve, Sophia, Mary Magdalene, and Mother Mary, who all weathered some serious storms in their day, in their epic journeys on the earth, and in this illusion of 3D density. And they are here with us now, spurring us on, supporting us in our deepest soul conversations we have with ourselves when no one else is listening. They are right here. They are breathing with you. Source is breathing you. There is so much prana and meaningful divine support for us in the final miles of this ascension journey we are all moving through these days at quite a quantum pace. While there may not be a lot of rest for the weary soul traveler in the year of the fire horse, there is certainly an abundance of creative fire, spiritual chi, and forward momentum just when you might think that your spirit stalled out or your mind-body spirit is too taxed in one way or another. You have everything you need to claim your divine birthright as a transcendent soul embracing the truth of your perfect Christ Sophia codes fully lit and fully God-breathed into form again in you. March 2026 will show us many things designed for our awakening, our discernment, our transcendence, and our willingness to go the distance to be our resurrected or ascended soul selves in this new age that has just begun to dawn. It has just begun to open its fruits and wonder to us all. It has just begun to shine the light of transparent, authentic, abundant, Edenic living to and through us. Are we ready to catch the waves of these gifts, these guardians, these opportunities for discernment, and these invitations to listen every day to what is ours to do and what might be better served for others to do? We all have our roles. The time is now to embrace the roles we each came to be and to play to usher in the real, R-E-A-L, beyond the movie reels that are failing. Too many souls are awake now for the collective to return to slumber. The only trajectory now is that of planetary awakening. Let's ride these waves together and rise into the living garden again together. Eve is here, seeding your return to the garden. Listen for her whispers. Heed her guidance that shines as the divine knower and awakener in you. Firehorse is galloping through your daily experiences, inviting you to keep moving, to keep growing, and to keep honoring your dreams. You are the boldness that is ready to rise and recreate your heaven here on earth in you. You are the garden's epic seed, growing this grand vision with many other amazing, authentic garden seeds. Eve, the knower, already knows how this plays out, how you participate and live your gifts in this grand story of humanity's return, and you are invited to know it and be it too. You are loved. You are love. And you are welcomed home in your sacred heart center to express the extraordinary you that has always been you. The living garden shines its grand radiance through every soul willing to embody the realness of your soul and the timeliness of your unique gifts. March 2026 will invite your true soul expression in steady, authentic ways now. March 2026 has a special fire and fuel for all those up to the task of galloping into what's new and courageously releasing that which no longer defines you. There's so many beautiful messages in there for you to marinate in and to receive if they resonate. I really liked how that came through about mastering our monkeys and galloping into what's new, because I think that's a lot of what this month is about. That's the old surfacing stories and characters in those reflections showing up again, vying for our attention, really summoning us to witness them and then transmute them in order to release them. And then also that what that does is it makes room for that fire horse energy to come through us through the gifts of those reflections and releases. And then where we move forward in multiplying and amplifying and boldly engaging this quantum momentum of taking bold action steps with the help of the fire horse in our lives, that energy of fire, that energy of our creative life force in our lower chakras, in our second chakra particularly. So there's some big messages in there. It's important for us to feel as we move through these very potent energies that we are loved. We are love, and that we are being welcomed back into our sacred heart centers, and we're being invited and welcomed back to enter the garden again. It's an inner entrance, it's an inner job, it's an inner connection, and it's an inner journey, right? But what happens within ultimately manifests fruitfully without. So we want that garden within so that it can manifest in our lives around us as well. So with that, this concludes part 1 of my March 2026 messages, and stay tuned for part 2, where I will share a number of songs that sing these themes of the elements of fire, air, water, and earth. I don't think I got metals in there, but you'll feel those frequencies in the songs. And these songs can fortify you as you're going through those reflections and those releasings and that renewal process this month and beyond. These songs are for all of us at any stage of our ascension journeys as we move through these times and these shifts and these calls to release the old stories and illusions and these summonings to express our gifts in new ways, in innovative ways, in expansive and authentic ways. And so I want to thank you for joining me in part 1, and I'll see you very soon for part 2.